Fantasy Hockey Pool update. 6 moves you need to make in week 9. Now, you haven't seen me in 3-4 days or so. My apologies. I've been busy with work. Usually I have this up on Monday. Today's Tuesday. In any case, this is a segment I started about 2-3 weeks ago based on a piece by Josh Wegman from The Score, in which he throws up some tips for fantasy hockey poolies. And so we're going to go through that, and I'll add a few things and to it as well, and give you my 2 cents on the board. Let's get to it. Number 1, pick up 19-year-old Eli Tolvanen from the Nashville Predators. He's a right winger. He's got 10% ownership right now. He was called up from the AHL on Saturday versus the Chicago Blackhawks, and he had 1 goal and 1 assist on the top line with Johansson and Fiala. Forsberg is hurt, so he's stepped in to that spot. Now, in the AHL, he hasn't had great numbers. He only had 11 points in 21 games. But last year, as a teenager in the KHL, he set a record by a teen with 19 goals and 17 assists, a mark previously held by Evgeny Kuznetsov, presently of the Washington Capitals. So it might be worth taking a risk on him. Number 2, buy low on Evander Kane. The San Jose Sharks left winger has a 94% ownership right now. Here are some NHL stats I'm going to throw at you. He's 4th in shots with 107. He's 1st in individual scoring chances 5-on-5 with 83. He's 3rd in individual high danger scoring chances with 39. And so far this year, he only has 7 goals and 16 points. But that's because he's got a 6.5 shooting percentage. Now that has to improve. Usually I want to say it's double. So Kane could explode. And a frustrated owner could trade for him for 50 cents on the dollar. Number 3, add Drake Batherson, the center for the Ottawa, a center and right wing for the Ottawa Senators. He's got 6% ownership right now. He's a rookie who's got 7 points in 9 games, playing on the top line with Matt Duchene. He earned a promotion up from the AHL after he scored 20 points in 14 games there. Now, the Senators have seemed to be using a very offense-first system so far this season, and they sit 3rd in goals for, but last in goals against. Boucher's offense-first system suggests that it could really help Batherson, the Bath as I call him, help sustain this point production if he stays on the top line with Duchene. Number 4, drop Cam Talbot of the Edmonton Oilers. The goalie has 61% ownership. Drop him if you haven't already. The Oil are 4-2-1 with Hitchcock so far, and one of those regulation losses was Talbot's. Hitchcock has obviously made Koskinen, yeah, the number 1 goalie, and barring a miracle, I don't see Talbot regaining the number 1. It seems quite unlikely. And if you really need to stream another goalie, I go for other backups before wasting time on Talbot. Number 5, start your rebuild in keeper leagues. If you're near the bottom of the standings, now's a good time to start your rebuild. Because if you sell now, you should be able to get to acquire some of the best available keepers / draft picks that are out there before the other teams in the league start making trades and move some of their best trade chips. Number 6, the William Nylander Toronto Maple Leaf effect. This I read off a Yahoo article. Bringing William Nylander back into the lineup is going to basically add a ripple effect to the whole team. And let's start. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 players in particular here that we could talk about, but you could probably even add another 1 or 2 to it. Let's start with Jake Gardiner, a defenseman, left shot, left side, second pair, has 60% ownership right now. Now, he's the quarterback of the second unit power play, which will be adding William Nylander, and loses Josh Levo. He was traded to Vancouver the other day. So, enough said. Really, right there, you add William Nylander to your power play unit, which is already your second power play unit, which has already been doing pretty decently. It's, yeah. Next, Patrick Marleau. He's a center / left winger. He mostly plays left wing, only center in emergencies or injuries, etc. He's got a 41% ownership at the moment. Now, he started the season playing left wing alongside Matthews and Kapanen. But that was my phone. But his point production wasn't coming along consistently, and so they bumped him to the third line with Kadri and Connor Brown, and it started to pick up again. So what's going to happen now is William Nylander is going to come back into the lineup, but he may not step into that into that first line right away. Babcock may place him on the third line, bump down Connor Brown from the third line on right wing to the fourth line, slip Nylander in there for 1 to 3 games, alongside Kadri and or Marleau or Johnson. Now, when they decide to put Nylander, inject him into that first line alongside Matthews on the right wing, who's going to get bumped down from the right wing? Kapanen. Kapanen's going to get bumped down to the third line and play with Kadri. And then you'll either have, on the top line, you'll either have Marleau. He may try that experiment again, see how he plays with a line with Matthews and Nylander this time, with a bit more of a playmaker on the right side. Or he may keep him on the third line, where he now be playing with Kapanen on the right wing instead of Kadri in the center, but with Kapanen on the right wing instead of Connor Brown. And Kapanen, we'll get to him in a second, but he's definitely an upgrade on Connor Brown. Next I have here Kadri. He's a centerman. He's got 57% ownership. I think I've sort of already gone through all these scenarios on why it's good to pick him up as well, because all of a sudden Kadri he might play a few games with Nylander. He will end up playing most of the rest of the season probably with Kapanen on his right wing and either Marleau or Johnson on his left wing. It's going to be a killer line either way, and he's going to be one of the benefactors. Keep in mind, he's coming off 2 back-to-back 30-goal seasons. He hasn't started out strong, but with this Nylander injection into the lineup, everyone's going to benefit. The last guy I want to talk about here, surprise, is Kapanen. He's a right winger. He's got 50% ownership right now. He's the fastest guy in the Leafs. One of the fastest guys in the league. That's how he scores his goals. Excuse me, on the rush. And last season and the seasons previous, he was always fast, but his hands weren't able to catch up with his speed, and that was apparent in. And he turned that around in last year's playoffs against Boston. He started to score a couple of goals off the rush like that, and his finesse started to come along. And now the season, it's blossomed. His hands are right there with his foot speed, and so he's deadly. So he doesn't necessarily need Matthews, to score goals. He can play on that third line and help drive that line with Kadri and or Marleau or Johnson. So he's definitely a player to pick up as well. Games that are happening today on Tuesday, December 4th. We've got 10 of them. We've got Boston Bruins versus the Florida Panthers, Winnipeg Jets versus the New York Islanders, both teams who are looking to rebound there. Boston and Florida haven't been doing too well either. Colorado versus Pittsburgh. This game between the Avalanche and the Penguins could be one of the best games of the night because these two teams played each other not too long ago. Colorado's winning 3-0 going in the second. Crosby scored a hat trick to tie up the game, and eventually Colorado took the game, albeit like 6-3, albeit on two of those goals were empty netters. But it was a heated game, And so, and you're not even, about a week later, not even, this is going to be good. I'll be catching some of this game for sure. Then there's the Calgary Flames versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Buffalo Sabres. I'm not sure if Nylander is going to be in this game. But the excitement is there. Matthews, this is his like second or third game back now. This is going to be a great rivalry. Toronto's second in the Atlantic. Buffalo's right behind them in third. Buffalo has now lost, I believe, 3 in a row. Not all in regulation. They've been overtime losses. And Toronto has won, I want to say 4 in a row now. So, 2 of the top teams in the league. This is going to be a great game. Next, Ottawa Senators versus the Montreal Canadiens. Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Detroit Red Wings. Minnesota Wild versus the Vancouver Canucks. Washington Capitals versus the Vegas Golden Knights. This should be a pretty decent game too. And the Arizona Coyotes versus the Los Angeles Kings. Can the Arizona is the cure for their slump recently? Los Angeles? Quick is back. And he had an amazing game last game. So be interesting to see how that one swings too. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you know any Hockey Geek people, friends, buddies, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.